it's official. Enough. We're good.
older, I can't sit here. I just remember you guys are right behind
I'm loud. You haven't heard me yet, so just wait.
But you're the announcer.
I'm supposed to be that way, so
Okay.
it works out. Yeah, it works out well.
I like your attitude. You didn't say, well, thanks, mister, go somewhere else. No,
No,
he said,
we
I'm
can both,
loud.
We can both be loud. That works out
I like
fine.
your attitude,
Yeah, yes, sir. I didn't even think about it, but I was just thinking about it for like two teams. You know, what have they done this year? I didn't even think about the Hope and Calvin angle. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. That's why I got like this whole thing about like the original American rivalry. Like, you know, do you know the MIAA College Conference in the U.S.? I do now. Yes. 1888 was the first. That's right. So technically, I mean, if Hope and Calvin are the biggest rivals in the conference, that was the original rivalry right there. So, quick fact for you. So now it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to this one. Yeah. Good luck.
It's one of the original American college rivalries. Two schools who are both part of the MIAA, which was established in 1888 and is the oldest college conference in the country. And now they face off for an opportunity to advance to the Great Lakes 6 championship game for just the second time in the conference's history. It's yet another edition of Calvin University and Hope College, and it's live tonight on YouTube. We say hello and welcome in to everybody joining us here on YouTube tonight. My name's Nate Wangler, flying solo. Well, two teams in the top 15 in the Great Lakes 6, just into his second year in existence, and already one of the hardest college conferences to play in the ACHA, and they've proven that this year. We'll start off with Hope College, number 14 in the country, coming into the semifinal matchup with a chance to punch their ticket to the final. 25-7-0 on the season, 7-5-0 in Great Lakes 6 play. But they had a win yesterday over Davenport in a heart-pounding one as it came down to the very end. 6-5 in that game. Ended up putting up 3 goals in the first period of that one. Alexander John, who has just been a menace for this team this year, right now leading the way offensively. 2 goals in the first period as they were able to weather the late storm from Davenport to win that game and advance to this one here tonight. Their head coach, Chris Van Timmerman, was with Hope since the 2000-2001 season. Actually, during his playing days back in those early days in the 90s, he actually started this hockey program for Hope. Test 1, 2, 1, 2, and 3. It's the original American rivalry. Two schools, both part of the MIAA, which was established in 1888 and is the oldest college conference in the United States. And now they face off for an opportunity to advance to the Great Lakes 6 championship game for just the second time in conference history. It's another edition of Calvin and Hope, and it's live on YouTube. As we say hello and welcome in to everybody joining us, my name is Nate Wangler. Well, for Calvin tonight, they come into this one right now ranked 10th in the country, 19-7-2 overall on the year. Their last time out, well, they smoked Roosevelt, took care of them in the first round of this tournament, 9-1, the winner in that one. Josh Petrusma had some words to say about his team and their resilience in that game. Talked about how Roosevelt likes to fight for all 60 minutes. We needed a quick start, and they got exactly that. Say, quote, "I was happy with our overall play. We got a strong performance in net from Adam Yost, and that's one thing that really helps this team a lot. They are deep in net this year, and that'll certainly give them a leg up in this matchup against Hope." By the way, a team that they've played a couple of times throughout the course of this year, just 1-2 against Hope College. But again, some pretty close matchups against these two teams. Really two players in particular we're looking at in particular for Calvin. Stephen Ikes, 21 goals on the year, 32 assists. And Krzysztof Perila, right now 17 goals, 28 assists. The senior from Poland has been on one. And right now it's the two seniors who are trying to lead the way to that Great Lakes 6 final. On the other end of the coin for Hope College, the other side of this historic rivalry dating back to 1888, 25-7-0, number 14 in the country, 7-5-0 in Great Lakes 6 play. They won a heartthrobber yesterday, 6-5 over Davenport, weathered a late storm to get that win. And Chris Van Timmerman, who has been with Hope since the 2000-2001 season, leading this Division I program to the promised land, was a part of that D3 program for the longest time and did a lot of great things with the D3 team, including winning a national championship just a couple of seasons ago. But now the dream, get this team to the end of the line, and it all starts here tonight. Yet another edition of Hope and Calvin, and it's live on YouTube when we return.
Once again, welcome to Patterson Ice Center. Tonight's game features the Hope College Flying Dutchman and the Calvin University Knights. Now let's meet the starting lineups for both teams. First for the Dutchmen, starting at left wing, number 15, Kate Pratt. At center, number 12, Logan Nicholas. At right wing, number 13, Ryan Jaros. At left defense, number 18, Austin Yater. At right defense, number 65, Carson Matter. And in goal, number 33, Sebastian Whitfield. The head coach for the Dutchmen is Kirsten Timmerin. He's assisted by Kevin Dean, Caleb Diggerson, Zach Smith, and Trevor Campbell. And now, for the Knights, starting at left wing, number 10, Trent Benedict. At center, number 71, Stephen Ickes. At right wing, number 11, Christoph Coachella. At left defense, number 8, Hayden Zimmerman. At right defense, number 18, Devin Nabasky. And in goal, number 29, Aiden Fedema. The head coach for the Knights is Josh Petrusina. He's assisted by Dean Griffin and Brian McCallum. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and remove your caps as we honor America with the playing of our national anthem.
Well, nothing says small college athletics quite like Calvin and Hope. Once rated one of the top rivalries in college sports in the United States. In this Great Lakes 6 terms, they haven't played too many times. Just the second year in this conference's existence, but the first opportunity for both of these two sides to climb to the top of the mountain and put their name at the top of the Great Lakes 6. Calvin and Hope, yet another edition live on YouTube tonight. As we're underway, semifinal matchup between these two sides. Hope in those signature orange unis, 25 wins in the regular season as it leads to a one-on-one almost nearly right out of the gate. Charging in, swooped aside, Fedema able to get on top of it. Draws the play to a close, and then there's a brush up in the corner. Body is hitting the ground. It nearly was able to get through. Fedema fortunately able to get on top of it. Pins it up against the corner post. And a brush up in the corners. They're able to separate that, and a quick charge right out of the gate for Hope. Ryan Jaros swerving his way through and nearly able to put it in. Stops play, though, and a face-off at the near circle. Just under 20 seconds in, but a warm welcome to everyone joining us here on YouTube tonight, whether you're on the side of Hope College, Calvin University. Again, both in the top 15 comfortably in the ACHA. Hope number 14. Calvin University rounding out that top 10. Only 2 more rankings being released this season. So coming up on the penultimate top 25, and clearly Calvin has earned their way into that top 10. Winners of 7 of the last 10. This one's pinned in back behind goal. Try to work this one out as they rattle it around to Pat. We'll pour on the brakes in behind goal and start something up for Calvin. You're just under a minute in this first period. So that one will be icing. We'll bring it right back down the ice. You're just 1 minute in, 19 to go in our opening stanza. But winners of 7 of their last 10. Of course, if you want to talk about momentum, I'm not sure you have to look any further than the other side of the coin. Hope College winners of 9 of their last 10, including, again, a heart-throbbing one just the other day against Davenport a couple of days ago. Back on Wednesday. Eaton picks it up off the far boards before rattling it into the Hope zone. Picked up there by Wigfield in net tonight for Hope. Both of these teams good in goal. Rister off the turnover, wide of goal, and then chipped back in front of Wigfield. He's able to snare it with the open glove and stops play. But good goaltending on both sides, and that is a trend for both Hope and Calvin. Sebastian Wigfield, 21 wins on the year, 21-7. That .238 goals against average, just has not allowed very many this season, and it's carried this team. Calvin carries this one in behind. As they look back to the middle of the ice, they have a man there, but it's knocked down. Josh Hooper had a lane, but couldn't feed it through the body in front of him. Calvin in those whites tonight with those golden numbers, the maroon stripe across the back, the yellow numbers and the maroon trim. A 2-on-2, Rister turned away. Great glove save. Right into the wickets of Wigfield. Still a scoreless game, just under 2 minutes in. But an inspiring story for Calvin University this year. We were talking about Josh Petruzma a little bit earlier, their head coach, alongside his support staff on the far end, trying to lead Calvin to what would be a 4th straight ACHA D1 tournament, but more importantly, doing it as the head coach. Brand new spot for him this season. And really an inspiring story in a lot of ways. This one's bled into the corner. Flipped out wide of Fedema as they try to reverse it to the blue line, but all the way down the ice it goes. Another icing called, and again we'll skate down the other way. But the elder Petruzma, Mike Petruzma, who had built the Calvin hockey program for 28 years, including the expansion into 2 ACHA Division I and Division III teams in 2018. But Mike ended up passing away back in November, an untimely death according to the program. So Josh took over the program, got them into a top 10 position, now number 10 in this Great Lakes 6 tournament. And listen, as a head coach, all you're asking for is an opportunity, and with a win today, they'll have that opportunity. Of course, Adrian just underway against Purdue Northwest across the way. We'll give you an update on what's happening over on the other rink here at Patterson Ice Center tonight. But Calvin, in a lot of ways this year, playing for Mike Petruzma, the Petruzma family that, again, built this Calvin University hockey program. Of course, Josh carrying on the legacy of his late father and the mark that he made, not just, of course, on Calvin University, but you could say on the hockey community on the west side of the state of Michigan. Speaking of Calvin, they win this draw back. Nearly 3 minutes away in this first period, no score. And a whole lot of hockey going on these last handful of days. Of course, can't ignore what's going on over in Milan. The United States getting the win over Slovakia today and played Canada in the gold medal match on Sunday. This one's flipped in behind where it's picked up by Hope. Joust for it in the corner, finally won back here by the Flying Dutchman as they fly to center ice. Working this one across center ice, weaving, Nicholas has it taken away. Jarred back to the blue line. Darmenoff was the one to step in and take it away. Circle it right back into the offensive zone, but Ike's there to drop it off for a charge. Petrula carries it to the post. Rister turned away. Off the shoulder of Wigfield. And up and down we go. A track meet to begin this first period. Kicks off the boards, picked up by Ikes as he winds his way across center ice. Goes for a wrister, it's knocked down, gets it back. Wigfield a save. Kicks out in front, and then a mass of bodies. Trying to charge and crash the goal. Calvin almost an opportunity on the redirect. Wigfield able to get a glove on top of it, though. And the first of what I'm sure will be many brush-ups tonight. 16-27 in our opening frame. But Wigfield this season for Hope. Again, that .238 goals against average on the other side for Calvin tonight. Aiden Fedema in goal. You would expect best on best, and that's exactly what we got. He's 13-4, 263 goals against average, 91% save percentage. Would not be shocked at all to see this one be a grinded-out late kind of game. It could easily be a one-goal game, knowing these two programs. Bleeds in behind where it's tapped back into the corner and picked up there. The Dutchman wind it to center ice, but immediately launched back in. It's Clayton retrieving it. Touched by Adamick. Aggressive forecheck for Hope early in this game. Knuckled back to center ice. Colin Deal winds it to the near side before it's knuckled into the corner. End over end, and it'll be chased down there behind by Beaker. Had 3 separate meetings in the regular season between Calvin and Hope. Hope was able to win 2 of those games. However, Calvin was able to get Hope in one of those meetings. Actually ranked ahead of them in the conference standings. What makes the national standings a little interesting, but have certainly earned that right. It's a Great Lakes 6 conference that, again, has established themselves as one of the toughest in the country. Having to step way out of goal that time is Wigfield. Plays it around behind goal before a log jam on the far end. Almost 5 minutes away in this opening period. Here in the semifinal matchup of the Great Lakes 6 Conference. Second year in existence. Adrian, the defending champs. Trying to get an early lead on Purdue Northwest. Late offsides against Hope leads to an opportunity for Calvin. Winding his way into Bosny. And back behind goal where he's shut off. Stepping in on the defensive side, Niski takes him off the puck. And now they carry it in all alone, looking to sneak one in the near post. John shut off there. Got the leg down to deny it, and then one kicks out in front. Unable to net it, close opportunity as they wind one in back behind, and a backhand that's played in front of the near post. Looking for a call. It looks like the goal got knocked off its stanchion here. That'll pause play here inside of 15, 14, 23 to go. And Fedema having a conversation here with the referee. We have seen this before inside of Patterson Ice Center. Sometimes if you bump that post a little bit too hard. Of course, Fedema trying to play post to post to stop that one from getting in. Little bit too much. Just kicked it a little bit too hard. One back by the Dutchman. Rister turned aside. Fedema, a good kick save. Rolls in behind, and then it's wrapped right back out in front where Fedema is forced to get on top of it. Iuter unable to do anything with it. 14-13 now to play. Of course, you were talking about Josh Petrusma, head coach for Calvin. On the other end of things, Chris Van Timmerman has been part of this Hope College program since the turn of the century. You have to go back to 2000, 2001. He started coaching here at Hope. Of course, played at Hope College once upon a time and actually helped originally found this hockey program and then went into coaching and never left. He is a core part of that community in Holland, Michigan. 2-on-2 chance. Sciano. And saved. On that wrister in. Wigfield no problem collecting it. Sciano unable to score. 14:04. We're playing at the home of the Panthers here tonight. Again, lost in gut-wrenching style a night ago to this Hope College team. You can see the Davenport Panther there. Panther head in the middle of the ice. Of course, a program that's on the rise, but 5 of the 6 teams in the Great Lakes 6 all ranked in the top 25 at one point this season. Of course, Davenport being one of those teams, is able to get in the very back end at number 25. Of course, had their hand full against these two programs. Benedict knocks it down, but unable to take it back as it's won back by Hope. Wrister turned away. Fatima, shoulder save. Works its way into the corner where it's chopped up near the Hope bench, or rather the Calvin bench, and up and out of play. Excellent save in net that time to turn it away by Fatima. Stays scoreless with 13:33 to roll, but Chris Van Timmerman, again, since that 2000-2001 season with the D3 National Championship team, 25, 22, 21, and 2018 national champions. 6'11", 146, 11, and 24. Yeah, you can't go wrong with over 600 wins. Of course, Hope making that leap from Division III all the way up to Division I here in the Great Lakes 6. This one is an icing. Back down the other way we go. But his assistants this year, Kevin Dean, Caleb Digison, Zach Smith, Trevor Campbell, Robin Shutt, their team manager this year. Taken back by Calvin as Baker turns and stings it into the offensive zone where Hope will retrieve in behind the goal. Nearly halfway into period 1. CJ Henke tries to collect in back behind net, but pressured there as Vesperini carries it to center ice. Vesperini winding his way through the middle. Wrister knocked down. Had a man in front of him. It's taken away as it slid onto the stick of Breet. He taps it to CJ Henke, who once again plays it in deep. And Hope giving Calvin no room to breathe here and collecting this puck in back behind the net. Immediately on top of them. This one whistled down the length of the ice, and it's an icing parade in this first period. Another skate down the length. We'll face it off again with 12 and some change to play. But a great turnout inside of Patterson Ice Center here tonight. It is full end to end inside of this rink. Of course, Adrian and Purdue Northwest with a great turnout on their side as well. But you know, anytime these two meet up, it's going to get pretty packed. And that is exactly what we have in here tonight. Zimmerman turned away on that attempted wrister from the blue line. Played in by Hope as they look to dump and chase. It's Zimmerman there who rattles one around the net as the Knights will feed it up to center ice. And a good find, too. Vonovich winds to the post, but couldn't quite get it through. Tried to weave his way around and tap that one into the back of the net. Wigfield not fooled by it. Reminiscent a little bit of what we saw the other night. Megan Keller, Farmington's finest, winning the gold. U.S. women's national team. A little toe drag in that game to win it. Looked like he was trying to emulate that goal. Get our first here in the semifinal game. It's going to have to wait a moment. Here's a face-off in the offensive zone, though. Nine shots on for Calvin tonight, 4 on the other side for Hope. Joust at the circles, one back to the blue line for a wrister that's high of goal. Wigfield put the glove up, wasn't threatened by it though. Darmenoff plays it back in. Hope was one of the more excellent defensive teams this year in the Great Lakes 6. One of the lowest goals against average of any team in the conference this year. This one's played off for a one-timer that can't get through. Cicino. As Pratt will rattle it back in here for Calvin. But they're able to take a lot of the pressure off their goaltender. But Calvin looking to start hot tonight. And they mentioned the importance of that in the game against Roosevelt. As Pratt delivers the boom. Pratt flattens the opposition. This one's circled in front for a one-timer. They can't connect, though. Darmenoff will start his track into the offensive zone and then takes a hit. Pulaskis circling over to put the body on him. Back and forth we continue. Pulaskis and Benedict with a few words for one another. Trent Benedict not one afraid to get in there and mix it up a little bit. And of course the energy is something Coach Van Timmerman, we were talking about him, he's already talked about as those two continue to go at it. Benedict gets his stick ripped away. Lucas and thrown off the boards. We'll have to keep an eye on that matchup for the remainder of the night. They continue to go back and forth. Slap shot from Atomic, knocked down. Rebound chance kicked aside. In back behind goal where it's settled down by Hope as they try to rattle it around the boards. Looked like it was handled in front. No, Fenema save. As it's taken down, Pulaskis had a look at goal. Couldn't get it through. Pinned in back behind where it's rattled around. Thrown on, Wigfield doesn't have to worry about it, but taken back by the Knights. Zimmerman at the blue line, a fake out, wrister, can't get the deflection on it. Saucers it wide of the intended target. By the way, I misspoke a little bit earlier. Hope has 9 shots on, Calvin has 5. And the physical play continues. It is going to be an element that is universal in this game. A fight between Hope and Calvin, and you wouldn't expect any less. Looked like a tripping that time. Center ice, nothing called though as we bleed inside of 10 minutes. Still no score in this first period. And we'll give you updates on what's happening in the Adrian College Purdue Northwest game as we go. Oh, what looked like a hookup that time, and nothing called. Nabozny getting away with it before retrieving it for Calvin as they skate the other way at Eaton. Winds his way north of the blue line. Pours on the brakes in the corner before looking back to the line, but nobody there. Ooh, and then a tough hit from behind as Eaton wins it back. Finally able to work the puck free. Backhand to the post. They almost wind one in, but turned away. Wigfield just quick enough on the kick save. As Pratt will paddle it in behind goal, and that allows Hope the opportunity to shift a few new bodies on. Lucas Philippi on the call just across the way. Two sides stabbing at this one. We'll have to see how the legs are able to hold up for both sides. Quick turnaround from the game yesterday against Roosevelt, and really for Hope too. Kind of a runaway game for Calvin in that 9-1 win against Roosevelt, but yeah, Davenport gave Hope everything they were looking for in that matchup and then some. Wigfield forced to just put the glove on top of it, and it stops play with 8:20 to go in the opening frame. This one live on YouTube tonight, also live on TikTok Live as well. The conference in the Great Lakes 6 that, again, just into his second season, has been a smashing success in so many ways. Of course, Adrian College, the gold standard, but let's say the rest of the conference, going to give them a run for their money. It's not like they own anything around here. Even the worst teams in the Great Lakes 6 are good for a good victory against anybody from time to time. Traffic jam behind the Hope goal. Trying to work this puck free. Finally is worked free, and it's Hope who's able to come away with it. Alec John had it for a moment and then takes a check from behind. Sent down the length of the ice. Icing is called. They will call the line here for Hope back out onto the ice. Tried to make a quick change, are not because of the icing call. Here with 7.5 to go, but I was talking about this matchup between these two sides. Again, another matchup here this year, both looking to advance to the championship. A short history here in the Division I ranks, but we're talking about that basketball rivalry between Hope and Calvin. Again, dating back over 100 years. Rister turned aside by Wigfield. Calvin winds his way behind. Leaves it in front. One-timer just offline. Wigfield saw that one tapped wide of him as they retrieve it in the corner, but can't steer one in front. Played off the near boards before Rister is stung into the center. Mess of bodies chopping away at it in front. Rattling along the backboards looking for a one-time opportunity. It was Stephen Ikes who was stationed in front. Again, the goal-scoring leader for Calvin this year. He is the target. Petrula snagged by Wigfield. Quick with the glove and keeps it scoreless here at 6:39. The win for Hope yesterday against Davenport. You're talking about that basketball rivalry, though. In over 100 games, they're only separated by 6. If you're ever interested in seeing the best of what small college athletics has to offer, go see one of those games. And it looks like we have our first 2-minute infraction of the game today. A slash, and it will mean a man advantage. Here with 6:34 to go in the period. Hope sends their first man off tonight. Palaskis, who we saw got tied up a little bit earlier, some handsy play on the near side. Frustrations boiling over, ripped the stick away from Benedict and spiked it off the glass, and now that frustration boiling over a little bit. You can see Chris Van Timmerman across the way trying to get him to calm down. Needs him desperately to control those emotions, especially a game with as high stakes as this one. First 2-minute infraction tonight, 6:22 to go in the opening period. Hope versus Calvin here in the semifinal matchup. The Great Lakes 6 Conference Playoffs. Taken back at the blue line. Vesperini leaves it in the corner as they eye it back to the blue line, and Pratt will circle it to the middle for a wrister that can't get through traffic. Immediately turned and fed out of the zone. Settled down in front of net there. Pulaski on the slash. First 2-minute infraction, minute 07 on that penalty as this one kicks up into the netting. Marshall Beaker tried to drag back to the middle, no luck. Leads to a face-off here for Calvin. Surprisingly for this Knights team, we're efficient in certain spots on the power play, but not one of the more efficient teams in the conference in that regard. Struggled later in the season. Beaker leaves it for Ikes. Looking for his first here tonight. Beaker from the blue line. Tries to power it through, now back out to Ikes. Off the deflection, one-time chance. Can't get sent on. Kicks out to Eaton. Looking to the backhand, and again kicks up into the netting. The deflection carries it out of play. 38 seconds to go on the penalty, and a great first period here for Wigfield tonight. Holding firm, draws another face-off. Fed him on the other side. Relatively quiet here in the latter half of this first period. Calvin has been able to apply more and more pressure. The corner he goes. They work it back to Beaker, looking for a one-timer, but plays it in along further. It's now Ikes. into the corner. Beaker with an opening. Leaves it in the middle. 17 seconds to go. Have to find a way to get one on net. Eaton. Ooh, off for a one-timer that can't be sent on. And Ikes had an angle, but just simply can't get good wood on it, as the final seconds will bleed away from that penalty. And a turnover. Ooh, Eaton maybe with one last charge. Rister, save in front of goal. Wigfield right into his chest. Save number 14 in this first period. His teammate stopping over there to make sure that he knows about it too. Couple of thank yous to go around. Just 4 and some change to play. But how about the state of Michigan and what they've been doing in the sport of hockey? It is truly outstanding to watch, especially with the Olympics. Of course, 2 Michigan-based programs here in the ACHA as the state of Michigan, in a lot of ways, kind of starting to take over the American Collegiate Hockey Association, especially at this D1 level. Of course, still some hoops to get over. Got to get a national championship. Adrian, of course, known for winning national championships, but really the state of Michigan has, in a lot of ways, owned the sport of hockey this year. Dylan Larkin, Quinn Hughes, both from the state of Michigan, both scoring a goal against Sweden the other night. Of course, we talked a little bit about Megan Keller, the winning goal for U.S. women's hockey over Canada in the gold medal match in that game. But the Griffins, number 1 in the AHL. The Red Wings are towards the top of the conference. It is Michigan, Michigan, and more Michigan in hockey this year. They're running the place. Inside of 4. Of course, we talked about one of the great Michigan rivalries in this matchup. We could argue the greatest. Well, maybe with the exception of one. 3:37. Reimers able to fight his way through as he rattles it into the corner. Calvin will try to chip it back towards center ice as Ikes will go to work. Has a lane, puts one in front for a one-timer that can't get through. Looked like a high sticking. No delayed call on this one. Hope. Oh, looking for a one-time chance. Pratt danced his way through, but couldn't connect on the one-time opportunity, as now Zimmerman will look ahead with 3:07. Drops it off to Ikes, who rattles it home. Bar down for the goal-scoring leader. So the closest of all the opportunities so far here tonight. Spiked that one off the post. And again, the man that they so desperately want to get the puck onto his stick. Nearly a breakaway chance. Tapped away in front of goal. Aiden Fenema thought maybe he would get his first breakaway chance to stop here tonight. Brady Breet lost his footing on the way towards the goals. The stick is snapped. Backhand flick towards Wigfield, wide of the goal though, and then pinned up against the post. It's one night in the middle of about a sea of orange in front of that post, getting dragged around. So get the broken stick off the ice here with 2:28 to go in the opening period. Well, I wish I had an explanation as to what happened on that last play. Certainly looked for a moment that Kelvin had struck first, but it ended up getting called back. So I will try to get official explanation as to what happened there, but still scoreless with 2:25 to go in our opening period. Talk to you a little bit during the intermission as we get you ready, get you set up for period number 2. This has been one that has been Calvin heavy in terms of the shots on goal. 16 for the Knights. 5 on the other side for Hope College, but right now the important number is zeros. Shut off early in the offensive zone. Hooper, who hoists it in back behind net. As it rattles into the corners, we reach the 2-minute warning. Played there before it's flung to Pratt along the far side. Tries to feed it back to the blue line. It's jarred away from his stick, though. Alex John there, so instead, Menoff rainbows it behind goal. Vorek spikes it in behind. Pratt there to retrieve it. Flicks it up off the backhand. He can't quite get it to Ikes. Ikes back onto the ice here after spiking one off the post a little bit earlier. Directs one to Benedict. Has numbers back middle and just sends it high. Who had an angle on the post, just couldn't put it in top shelf. Stung back in. Wigfield having trouble, has traffic in the crease. Ends up fumbling over top of them. Fortunately, Hope able to work it out of the zone back to center ice. So just 60 seconds to go in our opening period. Certainly hope the opening period wouldn't be 80 minutes long. That would be a long, long night for everybody involved. Ikes in the corner. Trying to fight this one back as he plays it around the backboards with 41 seconds to go. Calvin looking to steer one on, finally flung out of the zone, and it will be an icing call. So maybe one last hope here for Calvin in this opening frame. Here with 33.6 to play. Of course, when we come back for period 2, we'll give you a look at what's happening elsewhere in the Great Lakes 6. And typically that requires me actually looking around the scoreboard and all the other matchups and where everybody is. It's pretty simplified tonight. There's one across the way. Of course, a lot of other teams playing their conference tournaments here. Redirected. Whoa, just high. Ooh, a good angle on that one for Calvin off the blue line wrister, but can't put it on target. Down the length of the ice, Fenema well out of his crease. Flicks it up to Eaton. As they leave it in center ice and look to charge on goal. But one back by this Hope defense. Sets up a little 2-on-3 action. To the circle as they try to steer it back in front of goal. Fenema paddles it away, then he has to get on top of it. Stayed loose in front of net for a second. 0.6. And a face-off upcoming. Barring a miracle, looks like we'll end the first period the same way we started it. 16 shots on for Calvin tonight, 5 on the other side for Hope. There's one thing Chris Van Timmerman has talked about, its toughness and its persistence. Didn't get the hot start either side wanted tonight. But the good news, nobody's trailing. Face-off with 0.6, and that'll do it for period 1. Close, competitive, physical game in period 1, the way you would always expect against Hope and Calvin. And it ends the way it began, 0-0. The Great American Rivalry rolls into period 2. When we come back, still zeros on the board here in the semifinal matchup in the Great Lakes 6 to punch their ticket to the finals here on YouTube. Second period of action ready to get underway here on YouTube tonight. Hope College and Calvin University battling for an opportunity to go to the Great Lakes 6 championship game against the winner of Adrian and Purdue Northwest across the way. And right now, 0-0, albeit the opportunities kind of been leaning one direction. 16 shots on, 5 on the other end. Right now, Calvin, or rather Hope, leading the way in shots on goal with those 16. So we get a fresh 20 up on the board, but good goaltending on both sides. Only one minor penalty on the side of Hope in this game so far. So it has been a clean, straightforward, physical game. We'll see if that continues here into the second period. Welcome back in, live on YouTube tonight. Nate Wangler with you, flying solo, face off, and here we go, underway in period 2. So Hope rattles it in back behind their boards. Try to play one in off a wrister from the blue line, but kicks into the corner. Ikes will tap it around, and it's picked up there and back behind net. Benedict swinging Nicholas to the ground, and it kicks to Ikes. Centers himself, shoots with the forehand. No, a chance off the rebound. And it looks like the stanchion knocked off the goal, and then some punches in behind. We saw a handful of tie-ups in the first period, and that will continue throughout the course of the night. An unbridled hatred between the two sides as that tie-up comes to an end, and it leads to a face-off. And there are many reasons why Hope and Calvin are rivals. Obviously, we talked about the history dating back to before 1900 and 1888 when the conference was formed initially in the MIAA. But the biggest thing, like many of the other rivalries we see across the United States in the college ranks, proximity is oftentimes one of the biggest indicators. We see that with the likes of Duke and North Carolina and Tobacco Road. Same thing here in Grand Rapids. Calvin and Hope separated by under a half hour, driving, that is. But Calvin in Grand Rapids, of course, Hope out in Holland. But they compete in a lot of different ways, and it's not just necessarily on the ice or on the court, but it's in the classroom. They compete for professors, they compete for faculty, they compete for other staff. There are families that have had kids go to both schools. And a delayed call, and I believe our second here of this game. Maybe an offsides called here. No, it looks like Benedict will go to the box for Calvin. So the first man advantage tonight for Hope. Gave one up a little bit earlier. Now Benedict will head to the box. I believe a roughing call against him. And a face-off now here in the Calvin zone. First 2-minute penalty of the night. As Benedict takes a seat. This one lifted all the way down the length of the ice will force Flying Dutchman to retreat. It's the first 60 bleed away here in period 1. Flipped up ahead into the offensive zone. Eaton has that one ripped away. Played in back behind goal where it's dropped off. Sudniski couldn't do anything with it. Hope got off to a really hot start against Davenport in the first period of that game. Again, 3 goals to just 1 for DU. We're able to carry that to the very end, but they've matched wits with Calvin through the first 20 and some change tonight. Their first power play opportunity for one of the best power play teams in the Great Lakes 6 division. A couple of different players diving after that one. What looked like a dangerous play by Uter, able to come out with it. And a whistle that stops play here with 1:01 to go on that penalty, and the first one of the night here for both sides as they'll switch off. Rotate a few new lines on. 1 win away from it, even 20 this year for Calvin University. And the team that, like others, dealt with injury issues throughout the course of the year, but been able to fight their way into good position here. Hope wins back the draw. Battle one along the near boards. Worked back by the Knights, though, as they flip it end over end down the length of the ice. Still yet to get a shot on this power play. 43 seconds to go. Winding his way left to right, Kingsbury. Stings one behind net where it's retrieved in the corner. Pratt there to fight it out of harm's way for Hope as they work it back towards the blue line. Swarming pressure from Calvin. Finally able to get it free. John rips it behind goal before they look to steer him back to one at the blue line, and a race ensues the other way. Hooper tied up. Take it away from him. Kingsbury able to knot him up in a ball and unfortunately avoid what looked like a clear opportunity there for Calvin initially, as that penalty does finally wear off. So 0 for 2 on either side on penalties tonight. Back to 5 aside with 17-13 to go in the second period. We saw many other schools playing their games here today. Central Michigan, Lawrence Tech. A couple of the other teams we saw represented in the other college conferences. Of course, the CCWHA, the women's side, getting their tournament underway as well. Of course, Davenport, talking about them not a part of that tournament, but what a step forward that program took this year. Pratt, turned away. Wigfield able to catch it on the deflection. Looked like an awkward bounce on the way in. Fortunately, did not do anything. One back by the Knights as they try to clear the zone, but it's taken in at the blue line before being flipped back behind the backboards as Benedict will go to work there. Pratt able to win it back for Calvin as he steers it onto the stick of Ikes in the corner. Ooh, gets sandwiched into the boards. Is able to work it free, though. Turnaround wrister. Kicked aside. Benedict looking to fool Wigfield, but couldn't fool him on the way through. Taken in behind by the Flying Dutchman. Touch before getting into the offensive zone. Pratt there to collect along the backboards. Leaves it for a cutting Ikes. Ikes, in between the legs, back in front for a one-time chance, but it can't get in. Wigfield somehow got enough of it. Triangle movement to put it in front. Wigfield just got enough. Kicks up over the net, and the second dynamite one-time opportunity that Calvin is unable to take advantage of. It was Ikes in the first period. Spiked one off the post. Didn't end up counting, and that time still unable to sneak it past the goaltender in Wigfield. Leads to a face-off with 15:58 to go in our second period. Wigfield standing on his head in this game so far. He's been able to make clutch save after clutch save, and it's helped him keep this one a 0-0 tie as we approach 5 minutes into the second period. Live on YouTube tonight. Rattles around behind the net. Calvin looking to play one back out in front. Formula nearly worked for their first goal just moments ago. Hard hit along the near side. Ends up sitting down Beaker. As Hope tries to flip the ice, but a wrister slapped back in. Is Wigfield able to shuffle over and kick that one aside? Calvin with the edge and shots here in period 2. Pratt rips it free as he drags to the front hand. And then leaves it in the middle for a wrister, wide of everything. Fenema saw the threat, but was able to deal with it. Nicholas lost the handle, and then Calvin turns it into a chance, turned aside. What a save. Wigfield didn't wig out that time around. Settles himself down and makes the save, and then a couple of big hits on either side. Just north of the blue line. No delayed call here, and now we will get one. Zimmerman on the reaction, a cross check. Nothing ends up getting called, ends up being an icing as they simply bring it right back down the ice. But A couple of big hits after another missed opportunity for Calvin in this game. Again, nearly put one in the first period. And now the Knights are sensing it. They win this one into the corners. Benedict has it jarred free of him, and here comes Pratt. Winds his way towards center ice before flipping it end over end into the offensive zone. As the Knights will sky it into the O zone, and Wigfield has to step out of his crease. Nearly a breakaway chance, but Wigfield able to deal with it. Constant swarming pressure for Calvin. Pratt turned away. On the wrister, can't find its way through. And then it's kept inside the blue line on a kick there, and a pile up on the far end. And that's not going to sit well with Benedict. Hope player with his leg on top of him. Benedict starts throwing punches. And just business as usual between Hope and Calvin. Benedict separated. It is fascinating. You should have seen the line for the concession stand during the intermission. And there was actually a fan passing by me that goes, "Is this Joe Louis Arena?" I go, "No, actually it's Hope and Calvin." This is something to be expected. A lot of pride with these two athletic programs as they're able to separate the two here. Fresh 2 minutes. Benedict will have his second trip to the penalty box here in the second period. Had one a little bit earlier. Now back to the box with 13:58 to play. It looks like it will be offsetting Miners on both sides. Vesperini, of course, the captain on the other side. Tarpening for Hope. Laying out the reasoning as to these offsetting Miners, and that's exactly what it will be. So 4-a-side hockey between Hope and Calvin, scoreless and nearly halfway into the second period. It's time to have some fun. Wrapping up their conversations across the way, and of course Chris Van Timmerman, the suit jacket tonight, was visibly frustrated with some of his players a little bit earlier, and you can see the conversation having with a lot of his guys, just trying to get them to calm down. Both coaches realize how emotionally charged of a game this can be, but just how those emotions can take you right out of the fight as quickly as it puts you in it. What will 4-a-side tell us about these two sides? Speed's going to pick up a little bit in here. 4-on-4 hockey for the next minute 55. And an early chance, one-timer, kick it through. Wigfield save on the deflection. The battles in front of net continue. One of the things that makes ACHA hockey so unique. Level of physicality sometimes you don't normally see in the NCAA game anymore. It gets even better when you talk about two rivals. Ike's in the face-off circle. Pose from him is Nicholas. Nicholas able to win it back along those backboards, taken in by Hope as they flare it to center ice with 1:42 to play on those offsetting penalties. Roughing respective sides. Breit and Benedict, oddly enough, both number 10 serving time in the sin bin. They fight this one in behind goal, does Calvin. 1:15 on those offsetting penalties. Bobrovsky. Ooh, winds to the backhand. Wrister there, and Wakefield turns it aside. Orsma retreats it at the blue line as he swerves. Leaves it for Ikes. Ooh, what a move. Ikes an opening. Oh, and turned away. Wigfield another save. This kid is unbelievable tonight. Another stop at point blank. It stays scoreless with 51 seconds to go on that penalty. And when they say sometimes good goaltending can win you championships, it certainly does. Wigfield trying to make that the case. The kid out of Blue Hill, Maine, Went to St. Ignatius College Prep. Rister paddles that one aside. And once again, the goal comes off at Stanchion, and frustrated Wigfield up to his skates, pulls it back to the near side, puts it back on at Stanchion. Might have to get the water bottle out here. Maybe clean it out, spray some new water in there, see if you can't freeze it. Wigfield just doing everything he can to make sure he doesn't touch that post. Kicking it off a few times. Now 19 shots tonight for Calvin. That means 19 saves for Wigfield in a 0-0 tie. And now a breakaway. Pratt. Oh, turned aside. A great play for Calvin. The other way, Arister ripped away by Wigfield. It was Beaker who was able to take that one away from Pratt. Looked like a walk-in opportunity. But Beaker able to rip it away from him as now Calvin will try it on their side. Wigfield on the wraparound, nothing there. Beaker a second try, and it's off the post. The entire side of the ice rink for Calvin jumped to their feet. Eaton in front, turned away, second try on the rebound. And Wigfield got a piece. That is 21 shots for Calvin. 21 saves for the sophomore out of Maine. The Knights are feeling it. Pratt circles to center ice, and a wrister that Wigfield got a part of. Skies up off the back glass, where Hope is able to rip it back as they play it off the boards and look to move it ahead. Brosny plays it off to his left. Zimmerman there, chopped away from him. Traffic jam along the near boards. Sciano. Finally won back by Hope to center ice. Now taken away. Schrader, saved by Wigfield. And then turns and tosses the puck into the corner. A couple of his teammates tracking down the shooter that time. Just north of 10 minutes to play. Stoppage in time and a 2-minute infraction. Looks like here against Calvin. Immediately after that play, a slashing penalty. And right when you had all the momentum in the world, Schrader goes off for a slash. And he'll give Hope an opportunity here on the man advantage. Referee right now talking to Ikes. Continues to gesture towards the Hope bench. Not exactly certain what he saw or what exactly he's trying to address. Right now, Schrader and kind of an argument with his bench. A slash right after that last one didn't go in. Maybe a frustration 2 minutes. But nonetheless, a tough look, and he'll be forced to sit in the penalty box. Third 2-minute infraction tonight for Calvin. The last time it was offsetting Miners. Now it's the second man advantage of the period for Hope. And still that all-elusive first goal in the semifinal matchup up for grabs. They like this. Ikes on a one-on-one, wins it back. Ooh, to the seat of his pants. Got upended in front of the goal, and then a whistle stops play. It'll be a cross-check. Ikes got sat down. Tried to grab it with the free glove. Couldn't steer one on net. However, they do draw the call. And only 13 seconds into that penalty kill. So now back to four-a-side hockey. What will be 13 seconds on the man advantage when all comes to an end. Are we having fun yet tonight? The heated rivalry, no pun intended, between Hope and Calvin. Now with 10:34 to go, back to four-a-side. Rister off the skate of Ikes. Takes it back as he plays one in front of goal off the backhand, but no one there to retrieve it. Instead, Nicholas will charge the other way for Hope. Tries to wind to the backhand, but pours on the brakes.
Hope number 24, Brady
in the end zone. As he looks to steer it back in front, but taken away by the Knights. Minute 20 until a man advantage for Calvin. Some more extracurriculars. Calvin, the bench not happy about it. Petria lays it off to Ikes. Nabozny has it jarred away from his stick back towards center ice. It's been a good four-man line. Ikes, backhand, one-timer and a beauty. A silky feed from Ikes, and Calvin finally able to break through in the second period. Petrea with another goal. For Petrea, his 18th of the season, and none larger than that one. The senior from Poland gets the first goal of the game. 1-0 the lead with 9:50 to go in the second period. 1 minute. Still on this four-a-side hockey, and now maybe an opportunity to get on a run if you're Calvin. But the senior in his final season, getting the first one. Beaker, ooh, just too high. A stinger of a wrist shot, can't get through, but they do keep it inside the blue line. Another one, Wickfield, a save. Pulls it into the glove. 9:27 to go in the second period, and despite that one goal given up, Wickfield has kept up his side of the bargain. 23 saves in this matchup so far of 24 shots. Trio just finally able to break through. One back by Calvin as they force it into the corner. Check that, Patella. From Ickes. For the first one of the game. What a welcomed addition he's been. Rister can't get through. Schulte in the corner, trying to fight this one back, finally does. So they look to circle one in front. Good deflection there, turnaround. Rister can't get through. Aiden Fenema, haven't said his name a whole lot in the second period. Makes his saves when he needs to. 5 seconds on the man advantage. And it's sent away down the length of the ice. It'll put these teams back to 5 aside. 8:30 to go in our second period. Spatella, who finally able to break through his 18th goal this 25-26 season off the assist from Ickes. And go figure. Those two have been connecting all year long. Assist number 33 for Ickes this year. It's that Rister skied up over top of the goal. Ripped down the length of the ice here by Calvin. No one able to touch it on its way in. And it's an icing call. But we've seen those seniors, one from Marine City, Michigan, and the one from Poland, connect so many times throughout the course of this 25-26 year. The 2-point leaders on this team. Right now, the point that matters the most, that 1-0 lead here with 8:08 to go in our second period. Yeah, I'm not watching this game on YouTube right now, but to anybody who is joining us, appreciate you stopping by. Another great year inside of the Great Lakes 6, and excited to see what this conference can bloom into. And again, not a lot of the people that were behind that decision to form this conference, they understood what they were getting into. Just the talent level of all the teams involved. It's made for some pretty exciting regular season matchups, and even the postseason too. Wickfield save, just got enough of that one. Saucio thought he had a chance, couldn't put it through. Now Hooper being pressured and back behind goal. Kingsbury all over him, back in front for a one-timer. Wickfield, another save. This kid is unbelievable. Benedict shut down. That one's shot number 27 of this matchup. Another face-off upcoming. Some very emphatic gestures from Chris Van Timmerman. His guys over on the Hope College bench. Again, once you get to a point to where you win national championships consistently, you know what it looks like. You have a certain set of expectations, and Hope College has lived by that this year, but it's getting tough. Calvin, Benedict, no, can't get through. Ickes able to swoop in back behind. Try to play it back to him, but instead it's Petrula, who tries to swing one in front, but it can't get through as it's directed out for a one-on-one. A charge in, but Kulas turned aside. Fedema able to get the blocker on it, kicks it away. And then a hard check. Offsides here against Calvin. Looked like Marshall Beaker got the worst of that check, though. Ended up getting sit down on the far side. I'll face off here at the small circle just north of the blue line. Referee's trying to sort things out here. Some jousting going on in the far end, trying to rearrange the face-off circle. Face-off is won back by Hope, and here we go again. Just north of 5 minutes, 1-0 lead. Petrula off the assist from Ickes. Second leading assister on the team. Petrula with 28 of them on the year, but just another example of that connection, and again in their final season here with this program. Trying to make good on it. We had a few wrestling matches happening in the Calvin zone. But finally, the Knights able to come away with it. Wigfield save off the shoulder. Pratt swooping in, looking for the rebound, but nothing there. Taken in by Nicholas. Steers one to Pratt, the other of the Pratts, as he tries to drag back towards the middle. But nothing there. That option shut down. Kai Clayton not giving in. And now Clayton winds his way in. Jarred away off his stick initially as it fumbles around in front of net, and it's taken back by the Flying Dutchman with 5:40 to go, and then it's back in front. Ooh, and an offsides called. Ooh, looked like a perfect feed from John for maybe a one-timer. And a breakaway chance, but it's called offsides. Bad break for Hope here with 5:39 to go in the second period, but I guess the good news is if you're Chris Van Timmerman, here with just 5:39 to go until the end of the second period, you're still in the fight. This is still just a 1-0 lead. Of course, a lot of that thanks to the sophomore net in Wigfield. What a great piece he's going to be. Really a cornerstone for this Hope squad for years to come. This team's not done yet, and of course, a lot of their best players are underclassmen. Wrap around, Wigfield, a stop. Shuts it off at the near post. .518, penultimate period tonight. I mean, you look across the way, Logan Nicholas, point-scoring leader for Hope College this year. 25 goals, 34 assists, but just a freshman from here in Byron Center, Michigan. Pratt, a sophomore. A lot of the other key players on this team, a lot of the other offensive stat leaders, all underclassmen. So in a way, this year has been a trial by fire, but when you go from the D3 level to the D1 level, there's a little bit of growing pains involved with that. But hey, if growing pains is making a semifinal and being 14th in the country, I think you're doing all right. Kingsbury flares it in off the backhand before it's paddled into the corners. We bleed inside of 5 minutes. Now 4:47 in the second period tonight. Fedema watches that one spike in back behind the goal. Skied up back to center ice. Skolschi whiffs it back in with 4.5 to play. Ickes takes it away. 3-on-1 wrister high of everything. Karams back to the blue line, and then a big hit there, followed by some pushing and shoving. One back by Hope in the offensive zone. 3-on-3, wrister sent aside by Fenema, but a chance for a second try off the one-timer that can't get through. Katie Britt was right there. Got it with the elbow, did Fenema. Of course, the big question for him, if Hope is able to provide some pressure, how does he respond here tonight? Only 9 shots faced, 9 shots on target in this matchup so far. He's not allowed one to get in, but does the rust play a factor? Jarred back out in front by Calvin, but ripped away by the Flying Dutchman as they carry it towards center ice. Trouble keeping his feet, Nicholas, as the freshman winds his way into the corner, and he's shut off there, but he is able to leave it for his teammate. Caden Pratt looks to the blue line, and it's wide of the intended target. Cam Matern was right there as they steer it right back to Pratt, who looks ahead. Drops it off in center ice. Right now, they're just having a hard time keeping it inside of their zone. It's a veteran-laden Calvin team that's going to be giving them troubles. 3-on-2, winding their way in. Wrap around, one-timer turned away by Fenema. Cade Pratt there, rattled one off. Fenema got it with the shoulder, the 10th tonight. Again, can't get through. Blocked before getting there. Diving across was Beaker. Back to his skates. A little bit of a limp this time as it's finally cleared out. Calvin is trying to live to see another day. This line is tired right now. Try to win back a draw, see if they can't shuffle some new bodies onto the ice here. Of course, Hope went 2-1 against Calvin during the regular season, and it's really over the last 2 meetings that we got an idea that this actually might be their game to lose tonight. Compiled 9 goals in their last 2 matchups against Calvin, so clearly the Knights have figured something out as to how to more effectively defend this team and keep pucks out of the net. Now I say that, there's still 22 minutes left to play in this game, but so far, so good for the Knights on defense. Whistle, and now a face-off here at the near side circle. Just shy of that 2-minute warning at 2:05. 9 total goals, 2 wins against the Knights in their last 2 meetings. Of course, lost the first meeting against Calvin this year, but all that matters, I'm sure now, is that you win this one. But have not found the same offensive options. You can tell Calvin found out something about this team. Wigfield, a save off the face-off. So you can see all the Calvin students gathered in back behind the boards there on the right side. So one thing about Patterson Ice Center that's a little bit unique, there's a lower section where you can watch games from, standing upright against the glass. Of course, we got the stands in front of us, and our little section, the press section here at the top. Trying to bring you guys this exciting matchup, and it has been thrilling and everything else all wrapped into one. Lopsided in terms of shots on goal, 31-10 in favor of Calvin, but right now, not all that lopsided on the scoreboard. It's just 1, it's 1-0 Calvin. Maybe 2 off the turnover. Pratt, backhand, can't get through for the one time. Second chance off the rebound, won't get in. Spikes it off Wigfield. 31 saves for the sophomore tonight. And again, a reassuring thought that your best pieces on this team will be back a season from now. And I'm not quite sure that matters to anyone on the ice. Ickes retrieves it back from his teammate. Winds to the backhand. Taken away from him, but Petrula. Those two connected on the goal earlier. Ickes again tries to shuffle it in front, but no one in white there to pick it up. And this has been the line that has been great for Calvin all year. That combination of Petrula and Ickes. Hope looking for a gimme. Ooh, and then a big body delivered. A brick wall. Wrister Wigfield watches that one get flown wide of the goal. And that has to be something Chris Van Timmerman is talking about. You want to be physical, you want to be aggressive, but you don't want to take yourself out of position. They've done so a couple of times. Fortunately, it's only counted for 1. The Knights in Eaton. Arister can't get through. Knocked down in the corner before they slap another one towards goal with just 5 seconds remaining in our second period. We'll backhand this one in back behind, and that will be period 2. 1 goal separating the two. Patrol off the assist from Ickes. And the 2-point leaders for Calvin University this year have delivered the Knights a 1-0 lead with 20 minutes to go in our semifinal as we decide who marches on to the Great Lakes 6 Conference Championship on the other side here on YouTube.
Yeah, they
This rivalry matchup to decide who marches on to the Great Lakes 6 Division Tournament winds its way into its final period. A 1-0 lead in favor of Calvin University, and we're underway here in period 3. Welcome back in. Nate Wangler with you tonight. Calvin just 1 goal up on the board. Ickes, his 33rd assist of the year, as they're able to finish off that opportunity. Is that one, nearly wiggled in. Whitfield doesn't have to worry about it. They look to play one back out in front. Can't quite get it there as it's circled into the corner, and they try to take it back there and finally do. But just wide of the intended target at center ice is Zimmerman, forced to retreat to get it, and it leads to a 2-on-1. Nicholas steers it to Pratt. Can't put one on as they fumble around and joust for this puck in back behind goal as it's taken away by the Knights. Into the corner it goes as they flip it to center ice. Benedict a touch on it with just a minute gone. Of course, the story tonight has been Calvin's constant pressure, 32 shots to just 11 for Hope. It's something that we didn't nearly necessarily expect coming into this game, especially with how good Hope did offensively speaking the last 2 games against this Calvin University team. Right now, 32-11, the difference. Whitfield has been able to keep them in the fight with what he's done. 31 saves. And I got to talk to Lucas Philippi, broadcaster for the other matchup. By the way, Adrian with a 4-1 lead as it stands right now over Purdue Northwest. That was a tied game at 1 early in that second period. But that was short-lived. Couple of power play goals for Adrian, who's one of the best in the country in that regard. This icing is waved off for Hope as they're able to win the race. Brad a hard check. Ended up losing his stick in the process, but does win it back for Calvin. Kingsbury trying to keep it inside the blue line. Fought back out north of the blue line to center ice. It's him and Clayton. Get mixed up, and Clayton delivers a blow. Clayton and Kingsbury back and forth. Referees swerving over to separate them. They'll go to the respective sides, and I believe what will be offsetting minors, what will be the 3rd time tonight that we've seen 4-a-side hockey, and it will be. So 2 players to the penalty box. Dylan Kingsbury, as well as Kai Clayton. So that means more 4-a-side hockey. And if you remember the last time we had 4-a-side hockey, it was Calvin who got their first goal of the game. Petrilla with 9:50 to go in that second period. Off the assist from Ickes. What can they get this time around? 4-a-side hockey just past a minute, 8:10 to go in period 3. Swerving their way through the middle, looking. Ickes, nearly carried it there. Got upended. Wasn't able to feed it through as Zimmerman will swerve to the post and look ahead. Checked off the puck that time as Ickes swats away at it but can't come away with it. Whistle that stops play here. So the referees getting together here at center ice to discuss something. We have 17:46 to go in our 3rd period, minute 28 to go on that penalty, and whatever that conversation is has now concluded. So we must have adjudication on whatever the issue was, regardless. Face off here inside of a minute 30 to go on that penalty. 17.5 in period 3 in a 1-goal game between 2 hated rivals here on the west side of the state of Michigan. Eaton spikes it off a Hope defender, kicks back to Pratt, who looks back to center ice, and he's able to feed it to Vodanovic. Looks to the backhand, now searches back towards the blue line, has Pratt there. Trying to carry it himself. Get anything there, though, as Hope is able to battle it out past the blue line. Pratt. We got two of them on the ice tonight, one on each respective side. Tries to circle one around the post, maybe for a one-time opportunity, as this one's kicked up into the netting with 37 remaining on that penalty. And the winner of this game will take on Adrian, the championship game tomorrow. 8 o'clock start time here at Patterson Ice Center. Again, barring some sort of comeback for Purdue Northwest in the third period of that game, it looks like it's all but wrapped up for Adrian. The Bulldogs will be heading back to that Great Lakes 6 championship. Of course, this is Hope's first year in the Great Lakes 6, getting the promotion here to Division I. Of course, Calvin was a part of it last season, but adding another member to the conference. Quick move and a wrister kicked aside by Wigfield. They are able to get one on, and now maybe a chance for Kingsbury. Circles back towards the line, leaves it for Peel, looks for a one-timer, but no chance there. Kingsbury a kick off of his skate with 5 seconds to go on four-side action as Ickes directed to the near side, and those penalties will conclude. 16 and some change here in the third period as it's steered onto the stick of Benedict at center ice. As it jarred away. Calvin not as much pressure in the first four. Ickes slapped aside by Wigfield. Went up and got it with the blocker and sends it into the corner. Ooh, there's a takedown at center ice. No delayed call, one time, kicked aside by Wigfield again after the turnover. Yost couldn't put it through. Now Palakis backhand. Can't steer that one on. That time was looking for a cutting Reersma. Paddled in behind there. It's handled back out in front. Looked like Palakis had a lane to feed one there, and now tries to fight his way back behind goal. The goal's off at Stanchion. What the people are arguing inside of Patterson Ice Center. Check in front of net. Hope looking for an interference. They won't get one. Played into the offensive zone as Calvin will dump and chase. We roll inside of 15 minutes at 14:55. Cut off in front of net as they'll wind in back behind. Before it's settled at center ice by Eaton, who will turn and saucer one off the corner, and a wrister that can't get through. Rebound chance, Wigfield to save. Another one tonight for Wigfield, 35. It stays 1-0 Calvin. Inside of 15, now 14:38, draw one back by Calvin. And we told you coming into this broadcast, we had a feeling with how good both teams are at goaltending that it would be a close, low-scoring, one-goal type game. That's been everything and then some. Here we're just over 14 in our final stanza tonight. Clayton, ooh, goodness. Throws it up out of play. They'll meet a face-off here at the circle. Fortunately, no delay of game on that one. Flicked it up and out of play. Leads to a draw here in the Calvin zone. Calvin had a great finish to the regular season, as we talked about. Same thing on the other side for Hope. Schrader, ooh, wakes for that one off the boards. And then gets a faceful from Kingsbury. A hard check. Hope, the Flying Dutchman, flying into the offensive zone. Calvin doing a good job parking the bus. As they tear that one away and rip it back into the Calvin zone. Fedema has been great. Mind you, he's only faced 11 shots tonight. Pales in comparison to the 36 on the other end. And again, whatever it was that Calvin did in terms of watching film and figuring out just the movements and the tendencies of this young Hope team, it has helped them in leaps and bounds tonight. Petrula right alongside Fonovich as they try to jar that one away. along the near boards, but it's won back by Hope, 13-20 in our third period tonight. Pratt plays it off the backhand to the blue line, but instead it's Ickes who swoops in and gives it off to Benedict. Benedict, wrister, save. Wigfield on the rebound. They continue to jar away at it, and it won't get through. Wigfield makes the save on his backside. His 37th such stop tonight as it draws a crowd, and it stays just a 1-0 lead. Able to sort this one out as they head to the near circle for a face-off. And for Hope coming into this game, winners in 9 out of their last 10. Again, you just wondered, and that was the big question for this one. Number one, would their legs be able to hold up after a hard game yesterday? Got the benefit of a late call to beat Davenport. But were they going to be able to really capitalize here today? One would put them right back in the race. It's a 1-0 lead for Calvin. Favorable deflection off the back glass. Peel, a wrister, knocked down by Ickes. Looks back towards center ice as he steers it there. Petrula has 18 goals this year as he runs into the goalie. Hope no time to worry about that. They'll handle that situation a little bit later. 12-24. Swerving in as they look to Peel. Wasn't there on the one-time chance, but instead gets it. Directs it into the corners. They once again try to play it in front. Now Eaton. Wrister north of the blue line. Just looking to play it in so that Calvin can run. 12:04 to go. Ripped back by Pratt, the defensive side. One number 4 on the other. Takes down John and takes back the puck at the same time. A lot of short shifts for Calvin here tonight. You can see the shift in mentality on the other side for Hope too. Much shorter shifts, quicker shifts. Trying to get fresh legs out there. Hooper gets a tough check from behind, but it puts him out of position as Calvin can't capitalize. Hooper offline on that one as it kicks in behind goal. 11:23, almost halfway through. And then a tough hit. I believe that was Fanovich, who ended up either getting an elbow or a stick or something up high. And now they're going to discuss this one. Questions of whether or not this will end up being 5. Referees trying to still separate things here in the defensive zone for Calvin. Back and forth we go. Dylan Kingsbury, who we saw go to the penalty box a little bit earlier, in the middle of all that. And they'll send the teams to their respective sides. My guess is they'll talk to the captains moments after this, and then we'll get a decision. 11:22 to play. Calvin trying to hold on for the win in March to the Great Lakes 6 final. See what decision they make on the other side. 1-0 lead in favor of the Knights here on YouTube. We're back live on YouTube. 1-0 lead in favor of Calvin. 11:22 to go in our final period here tonight. Looking across the way, looks like 2 minutes have been assessed. It would be number 24, Brady Kingsbury, who we saw in the middle of a tie-up earlier in the game in the first period, and then most recently with that last exchange, is he will sit for 2. There were some debates on whether or not that would be 5, but ends up just being a 2-minute penalty. And now a prime opportunity for Calvin on the power play. They scored their last one, 4-on-4. Now they have a man advantage and a chance to drive that dagger in a little bit deeper. Wigfield, the sophomore, has kept them in the battle to this point for Hope College. Can they make anything of it? Pratt collects this one at the blue line before shifting in along further. Calvin looking to make it 2. Misconnection on that pass, and it leads to a charge. Hope in a backhand, sent aside. Fedema able to find it from Pratt and paddles it away with the blocker. And then taken away again by Hope. They've had a couple of turnaways. Pratt that time again ripping it away as they play it into their own zone, and Wigfield will settle it with 1:20 to go on that penalty. No clear edge in terms of that here tonight. Both teams have had their opportunities on the power play. There's some frustration from Hope, taking themselves out of position a few times, and it's hurt them in this one. Zimmerman winds his way into the corner. Rattles one around the end zone as they direct it to Ickes at the blue line. Drops it off in the small circle before having it angled off the boards back to him. Looking for a man on the far end. It's chipped up and out of play, and a face-off of 49 seconds on that penalty. It's looking for Zimmerman stationed at the near post. Coach talking to his guys across the way. Again, we mentioned it back in period number 1. Josh Pertuzma taking over for his father and Mike. Again, an untimely death in November, so thoughts and prayers go out to the family. But, man, he's done a wonderful job since taking over. Now is really trying to get his guys to maybe get one here on this power play. Help them out a lot in the long run. Flung up out of play into the netting. We'll do it again with 36 seconds. Took on the responsibility of running this program, and again, to be top 10 in your first year as the head man. Don't be mistaken. He understood what the expectations were, and he understood how the program worked. It was a natural selection for Calvin, but I'd say it's worked out. Beaker. Ickes ripped away from him. Smart play, Jean. Not fooled by the fake out. Takes care of the opportunity with 17 to go on the man advantage. Ickes winds to the center. The backhand drops it off at the blue line and now retrieves it. Trying to spins himself off of the puck, but they're somehow able to keep it inside the blue line. Penalty is over. Can't get the redirection on that time, can Ickes. Fight forward and back behind and lead it back to the blue line. Eaton paddles one forward. No. Ickes there on the rebound. Just can't get a clean shot off. 9 minutes to play in our final period. We are hinging on one goal tonight. The lowest scoring affair in what has been 4 meetings between these two sides and these two programs that just fundamentally see the world in different ways. One of the best rivalries this state has to offer, and it's coming down the final stretch and just a 1-goal lead in favor of Calvin. Can they make it 2? Flipped into the offensive zone. Schrader trying to chase it down there. It's rattled around the boards. Ooh, and picked off. Darmenoff able to take it away. Allows Calvin to shift a few new players on, a tie-up on the far end. It's flipped into the offensive zone here with 8:05 to play. Still a 4-1 lead across the way in favor of Adrian against Purdue Northwest. It's a team that can hit you in a flash. Eaton flings it through a sea of orange. Chases it, whoa, to the backboards, and lays the boom. And Hope is not going to be happy about that one. Leads to a 3-on-3. Fedema save, and then a slash immediately afterwards. So a hard check on one end, and then a slash from Zimmerman immediately after that last shot, and Fedema made the save. And Zimmerman will head to the penalty box. long stare from his head coach, Josh Petrusma, after that one. Just unnecessary in that spot. Once again, we will have a meeting here at center ice with the captains to get a final decision on this one. Vesperini stationed right alongside Tarpening. Will more than likely just be a 2-minute infraction, but we're going to have to see. In a bad spot to have it, too. 1-0 lead, 7:43 to go. We'll take a step aside, be right back. You're watching Great Lakes 6 tournament action live on YouTube tonight. Welcome back in. 1-0 lead in favor of Calvin, and oh my goodness, this game just got a lot more interesting. That is 5 minutes in a game misconduct here for Calvin. Hayden Zimmerman, one of our notable players for Calvin, will skate off the ice and will head back to the locker room. A slash after that last save. And now a 5-on-4 for the next 5 for Hope. And the opportunity, no pun intended, they've been hoping for all night. And it finally comes with 7:29 to go in the third period. What a bad break at a bad time for Calvin. Couldn't have come at a worse time, to be honest with you. They will joust away at this puck in the corner. Calvin will do as much as they can to burn a little bit of time. Here with just over 4 to play on that penalty and 7 to play in our game here in the semifinal. Calvin looking for their first Great Lakes 6 Division Championship. Hope in their first year in the Great Lakes 6. Trying to build something special. Hit delivered on the far end, throws him off initially. And Hooper able to hoist it out of the defensive zone with 4 minutes on that 5-on-4 penalty. It was Hayden Zimmerman after that last play, a slash, ended up getting upgraded to 5. And Hope, after benefiting from a late call in the game against Davenport yesterday, benefiting yet again from a late call tonight. Another clearing of the zone for Calvin with almost 2 minutes gone on that penalty and 6:13 to go. So can they take advantage of it much like they did a night ago? Of course, they had to weather the storm a night ago. Tonight, they're trying to be the storm. And let's go Knights raining out, and the biggest hit of the game delivered. Alex John seeing stars. It's sat down in the corner this time. One back by Calvin. Have to be careful and not overly aggressive. Ickes trying to make it happen himself. Pulls that one back, but then gets sent away. Leads to a 2-on-2. Hope rotating bodies into the offensive zone as they drop it off in the corner. Now one-time Fedema, a save, a second try, and he gets on top of it. Saved it initially and then covers it up with the glove. 2:48 on the penalty. They got a PK unit tonight that has been great for Calvin. Frankly, they've been great all year long. One of the more efficient penalty killing units that the Great Lakes 6 has to offer. But the next 2:48, the most important of that time to kill off. Can their legs carry them to a win? One back by Hope. Looking for a one-timer, and it's sent out of the zone. Sudinsky, stationed at the near post, was not able to find it. They will wind their way in again. Eiter plays it in. Battled around back to him. Charos carries it into the corner where he leaves it for Nicholas with a wrister and a save by Fedema. Shoulder save. Saw the top shelf, disappeared quickly as he was able to make that stop. Was Fedema. And more than our fair share of pucks stuck up in the netting tonight. It's been deflection and lucky breaks time and time again. It's only good for one at the moment. What do we have in store for the finish here tonight? Another clearing here for Calvin. And now that penalty down to what would just be a minor infraction. 2 minutes. And Calvin almost winning back possession. They do. Interception at center ice, and they'll dump it in. Man, in watching these two teams play tonight, you would have thought it was Calvin who really ran away with the regular season series. Not the case. But they've proven to be the better team so far. Ickes taken away. Almost manufacturing a goal himself on the shorthand. But Hope able to escape. Now with just 90 seconds on the penalty. And just over 4 to go. Taken back on the turnover. Oh! And they nearly scored, but Wigfield a save. Pratt with it. Rifles it past center ice. Calvin able to clear the zone. 1:07 on the penalty. Ripped back. Ooh, and then what looked like a charge. A few strides. Ickes almost got his head taken off. Kicks out north of the blue line as Hope will lob it back in and try and get on sides. And then this one sent the length of the ice. A tie-up on the far end in front of the Calvin bench. My eyes were on the puck, but immediately redirected to what's happening in front of the bench. And it looks like the referees will send someone else off. This time for Hope. There were only 50 seconds remaining. That 5-on-4 after the 5-minute major and the game misconduct for Calvin. Now it looks like all that will be wiped away. Instead, it'll be a 4-on-3. So it'll be 71 that heads to the bench. Ickes for Calvin. It looks like on the other side, another trip to the sin bin for Kingsbury. So the 5-second major is not up yet. They'll try to sort this one out. It looks like there are 4 players on either side respectively, but as they sort this out, let's take a step aside. 1 goal is the difference tonight. Petrula off the assist from Ickes in period 2, trying to make that stand tall. When we come back, the race to the finish on the other end. You're watching Great Lakes 6 hockey on YouTube. 48 seconds to go on that penalty. 1-0 lead in favor of Calvin, staring down a trip to the Great Lakes 6 finals. And trying to kill off this major with still some time left on it. 35 seconds. This one's won back by Hope. Jaros whistling it through. Underneath Fedimov, it's off that backboards. Hope keeps it in the zone for a one-time blast that can't get through. Knocked down by Eaton, but he can't clear the zone. Flying Dutchman keep it in. 15 to go, and they finally get it out. Needed to get it out of the zone. They finally do. And they'll take it down to the opposite side for the face-off with 10 seconds now to go on that 5-minute major. And man, what seemed like the golden opportunity for Hope disappearing. Of course, not done quite yet. 2:52 to go. They could shock everybody by putting in a cheapie here in the latter half to get right back into the fight. One back by Hope as they play it in behind with 5 seconds to go on the penalty. They'll rotate a fifth body onto the ice here. As the Cupid Shuffle continues to play here at Patterson Ice Center. It's like an NBA game in here. 2:25 to go in this third period. It's back by Hope in their own defensive area. It's played in back behind the backboard, seeing those opportunities dwindle here in the latter half. They've only put 14 shots on goal tonight, but it only takes one to get right back into it. Petrula guides it to Eaton. Pours on the brakes in the corner and looks back towards the blue line. No options there, so he'll carry it himself to center ice. Eaton on the backhand. Looking to feed one to Ickes in front. Taken away off his stick and slid off the far boards. And nearly turned right back over here by Hope. Minute 40 to play in our final period. And some disgruntled eye rolls on the side of the Hope fans here tonight. Stops play with a minute 36 to go in this third period, but a team that in a lot of ways just kind of fell flat in this matchup. Timeout called, they'll talk it over. Minute 36, just past 90 seconds separated between Calvin and marching on to the Great Lakes 6 tournament final tomorrow, right here on YouTube. Minute 36 in a 1-0 lead in favor of Calvin. 96 seconds separated from a trip to the Great Lakes 6 championship. Hope has pulled their goalie. He has disappeared, which means they have an extra man on the ice. The scramble to the finish line starts now. Draw one back by Calvin. Ooh, and a quick shot off the draw. Like Fedema got a piece of that one on the way by on the kick save as the stick is snapped. Taken back, looked like a holding that time as Eaton got held up. Pratt was unable to get the shot off. They held him up there. As now they throw a wrister on, and Fedema able to scoop it with the glove. With a minute 13 to play in our third period. And the dramatics continuing here in our final stanza. Fedema makes the glove save. Again, this is where it matters. Fedema's on top of his game. Has not had to face nearly as many shots as Wigfield in his 38 saves tonight. But does that mean he's a little rusty in the final minute plus? Hope's going to pepper him. Let's go Knights and let's go Hope. Raining down at Patterson Ice Center. The most anticipated matchup of these playoffs so far. Rister paddled aside along the backboards. Inside of 60 seconds, 57 seconds to play. Ickes watches that one slide past him as Pratt collects. Looks for a one-time chance. That's just too high. Off the glass, high of Fedema. And a whistle sounds because the goal was knocked off at stanchion with 49 seconds. And we will allow you to listen to the jeers. Never fails between these two. The nerves at an all-time high. They'll substitute in the face-off circle with 49.3 to go. Draw one back by Calvin on the far end. They'll try to burn as much time as possible. The Flying Dutchman, the near circle. Stansky off his stick and north of the blue line. Exactly where Calvin wanted to be. Ickes unable to knock it down, 27 seconds. Back towards center ice, taken away and played out north of the line. Zudiski has to center it to Brate. Has Eider right there. Looks to the center, one-time chance guarded aside. Fedema didn't have to save it. Now another one circled in front, and he might have gotten a piece as it's flipped up north of the blue line, down the length of the ice. Here comes Eaton, and he's unable to score, but it doesn't matter. One is good enough as Calvin wins it 1-0, and they'll march to the Great Lakes 6 championship game. Some extracurriculars immediately after, but it doesn't quite matter. Eaton having fun with it. In a wave to the Hope side as the Knights will march on to the Great Lakes 6 final coming up tomorrow. What an unbelievable environment it was for this one here tonight. Only goal of our game coming from Petrula. Second goal scoring leader on the assist, Stephen Ikes. And this team isn't done quite yet. 1-0 win over Hope. Ickes. 1-0 win over Hope. Championship game coming up tomorrow. That'll be live here on YouTube.